If you had to make your rules of money, what would they be? The reality is that we all need rules with our money. Why? Because rules allows us to have accountability. It provides order. It provides consistency, security, and really allows you to get to what you need to do, what you want to do with your money a little faster, just because you have those rules and you have that accountability. So today I'm going to share my 7 rules of money. Are you ready? Bienvenida to Her Dinero Matters, the podcast helping Latinas have increased confidence and control over their finances. I am Jen Hemphill, and over the years, I've been on a mission to empower countless of women like you through this podcast and through my financial counseling services. Now, my expertise isn't just a result of my own life experiences or a few Google searches. I also became an accredited financial counselor that helps me serve you at a higher standard. Now, if you've been liking what you're seeing and hearing, make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss a thing. Now, let's get the show started. I realize when it comes to rules, if you are a rule breaker like me, a rebel, you might think, this is not going to fly with me. But as I mentioned that before, we need rules and with our money and our daily life because it provides accountability and all these other things. The thing is, when we think of rules of money, we think of things that are directly related to money. We only focus on those things, and that's a mistake. So today I'm going to share with you, yes, rules that are directly tied to your money, but rules that are also tied to your mindset. Because if you've been with me for a while, you know I love to talk about mindset. I love to talk about the impact our emotions and our feelings and our daily life, how they impact our decisions, how they impact our perception of money. And having rules that are tied to our mindset helps us because it impacts those decisions and the choices that we make around money. So I have seven total, some directly tied to money and others that are tied to the mindset. Let's go ahead and share those with you. And as I share these rules are not in a certain order of importance. So just because rule number 1 is not less important than the other rules. So just be mindful of that. I just have this in a random order and it's not in an order of which one is the most important. So keep that in mind. Also, another thing is that you can, as you listen to these rules and you absorb what I'm going to share with you, keep in mind that you can also create your own rules that really make sense for your household, for the season in your life. So keep that in mind as well. All right. The other thing that I wanted to share with you, these 7 rules that I'm going to talk to you about are not that all and be all. These are just for me, like some of the priorities, things that I feel are most important, but it doesn't mean that there's other things that aren't important, but these are the ones that I wanted to share with you because again, I try to share the ones that I feel are encompass other things, and you may hear from other people, maybe some rules that are really more specific, but I try to incorporate these 7 ones that encompass different things in your finances. All right. So rule number 1 is not a surprise to you. And this one is directly related to your money. Spend less than you make. Hopefully it's for obvious reasons, but when you spend less than you make, then it helps you get to your goals faster, because when you spend less than you make, you have a certain amount that can be allotted to those goals, whether it's investing, whether it's getting out of debt, whether it's saving, or whether it's funding your emergency savings, whatever it is. Spending less than you make helps you get there. It also prevents you getting into credit card debt because when we spend more than we make, we tend to get into credit card debt or deplete our savings or both things. So that is rule number one. Rule number two, track your money wins. This is one indirectly and kind of directly related to money. So tracking your money wins essentially is if you're not familiar with a money win is essentially something directly related to your money or non-directly related to your money. By the way, it can be indirect or direct, where you have had progress. It can be maybe consistency in saving, consistency in using a budget. Maybe you found some money on the street somewhere. Maybe you had a conversation with your spouse that didn't end in an argument. Maybe I don't know, you won some money. There could be a variety of things. Maybe you paid off some debt. All of those things are money wins. And again, they could be indirectly or directly tied to your money. And it's important to celebrate your accomplishments because the fact of the matter is we tend to focus on a list of to-dos. And when it comes to finances, we tend to focus, this is what we want to accomplish with our finances. And if we don't get it, and we may accomplish some things, but we may not accomplish all the things. And we tend to, once we accomplish A, B, and C with your finances, we just kind of set it to the side and we move and we just keep going. And we may sulk on what we didn't get accomplished, but we don't celebrate what we did. And that's important because celebrating what we did, acknowledging the progress and the accomplishment of whatever it is that you have been able to do, whether paying off debt, funding, fully having a full-fledged emergency account, whatever it is, that's something to celebrate. And in doing so, that's what's going to keep you going. That's what's going to keep you propelling forward in your financial journey. And on top of that, when you keep track of those money wins and celebrating, let me take a step back. By celebrating, you're probably asking, well, how do I celebrate my money wins? It can be simple. It's just pure acknowledgement and just being happy and saying hooray, giving each other a high five, like you and your spouse and your partner, a family member. It could be as simple as that. Or you can do something more, but you make the call, right? You make the call. It doesn't have to be anything elaborate. You make the call as to how you want to celebrate. Now, the other thing with money wins, it's helpful to make sure to keep track, right? So track your money wins, and it's helpful to make sure you have this list in a visible place, because when life happens and you need maybe a pick-me-up, looking through, especially a pick-me-up when it comes to your finances, looking through those money wins is going to be an instant boost. And that may be all you need to keep going. So make sure you have that list of your money wins for that instant boost when you need it. All right. That's rule number 2. Rule number 3 is check in on your money confidence. And you might think that sounds silly, but it's important. Why is checking in on your money confidence important? Because sometimes we are so busy on a day-to-day basis and we make all sorts of decisions, financial, family, all sorts of different decisions. And as you get busy, as life happens, as you make all these decisions, when we're making a financial decision, we may not realize that our confidence is down because of a variety of reasons. It could be a multiple of reasons. And we make some decision that maybe wasn't the best decision for our household. So always check in on your money confidence, because when let's say you made a decision that wasn't the best thing for your household, financial decision that wasn't the best for your household, and you ask yourself, well, what is my money confidence level? Chances are really good that your confidence level is not as high as what it was before. And plus, checking in on your money confidence level, you get it. If you do this consistently, you get a gauge of what it tends to be. And when it's lower than that, then you're just like, okay, you can ask yourself, why is that? And when it's higher than that, you can ask yourself, why is that? Because you want to do more of that, right? When it's lower than what it's normally is, then you're like, okay, what can I change? So it's always good to just do a quick temperature check. And by gauging your money confidence, it's just simple from a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being not confident at all to 10 being ultra confident. Where are you on that scale? All right. So that's rule number 3. Rule number 4, be flexible. Be flexible. Super important. And with this, what I mean by this is sometimes we tend to all be gun ho and say, this time I'm going to make things work with my finances. I'm going to stay on budget. I'm going to pay off this debt. And all of a sudden things don't go as planned. And when it comes to a budget, sometimes we tend to restrict ourselves so much, and it's not realistic. So we don't follow it because it's too restrictive. It's not a realistic budget. So you need to be flexible to be able to change it. Also, I've already mentioned life happens and your original plan is not aligned with that current situation. So you need to be flexible to change it. Always make sure that you're flexible when it comes to like budgeting. As I mentioned before, restriction is never sustainable in budgeting in any area of your life. So always be flexible. Just because you started with plan A doesn't mean you are going to end up using plan A, because maybe some things came into play and you had to step back and just reset, shift some things around, so that you need to be flexible. And just because you had to change plans or make some changes doesn't mean you failed. It just means you adjusted. Okay? You adjusted to the situation at hand that in a way that serves you best. All right? That's rule number 4. Rule number 5, don't compare yourself. I know it's hard, especially with social media and everything that you see. It's hard not to compare yourself, but what you see, yeah, I'm sure you already know, isn't a reflection of what is really happening. Always remember that personal finance is personal. Your journey is unique. Our financial situation is unique. And what we need to do for ourselves is going to be different, and it's not going in our current situation doesn't have to reflect everyone else's, right? As long as you do you do things that is best for your household, for you, and you're content with it, that's all that should matter. Nothing else, right? And you're doing your best. That's all that matters. That's rule number 5. Don't compare yourself. So rule number 6, always look for ways to earn more or increase your income. Why? Inflation's not going to get any better. It's just an easier and faster way to get to your goals, because would you rather cut some spending and so you can save more, or would it be easier just to have some extra money to do what you need? Probably the latter, right? So it's a faster way to get to your goals. And I have found a lot of times when I was working with one-on-one clients, sometimes it wasn't that the client was spending lavishly. When I looked at their spending, there was really no, unless it came to food. Eating out is an area where I say all of us tend to spend a good bit of money in. But other than that, even some clients, they just didn't spend a lot of money eating out. So there was hardly, there wasn't a way to really tweak the budget or the spending to help them reach those goals faster. And the only way, it was just to earn more income. All right. But just make sure, just a side note, when earning more income, just make sure it's sustainable, especially if it's a second job. You don't want to burn out. If it's a side hustle, just make sure you enjoy it. It's something that you enjoy doing, right? That you're not doing it because you feel like you have to. Or maybe, depending on your situation, maybe you do have to because of maybe you're needing that extra income. But if you're in a situation where you're So the sole purpose for that extra income is to help you reach those goals faster, right? That without that income, you still can live life and meet your expenses and your bills and everything. In that case, just make sure that that side hustle, the extra job, or whatever, and that you enjoy it, because then you can burn out easily. And just make sure when you're earning this extra money, do it with intentionality, with a purpose, and not blindfolded. Don't go at it blind. And what I mean by that is, don't just say, hey, I'm going to earn more money so I can save more, invest more, pay off debt quicker. You want to know what it is you need. You want to know with tangible numbers, what is it that we need? Because then you may be just working a whole lot of hours and you didn't really need as much, you didn't need all that money, right? So just make sure you do this with intentionality, with a purpose. Don't do it blindfolded. Do it in a way that you know exactly what it is you're wanting to work for in terms of dollar amounts, what would make sense, and make sure that you know what you're going to do with those dollars. All right. That is rule number 6. Rule number 7, invest what you can with what you have. I hear a lot of that we don't have enough to be investing. But I'm telling you, it doesn't matter how much you think you don't have. Saving, investing something is better than doing nothing at all. You don't want to lose out on compound interest. Compound interest is interest multiplying on interest. And over time, it makes a big deal of a difference. So use the time that you have now. Maybe you don't have a lot of money, extra money now to invest but using that, right? The factor of time now is going to pay dividends. And I shouldn't say literally, but it's going to pay you in the future with compound interest. Just don't lose that time, because that's hard to, time is something you can't get back. All right. Rule number 8 is pay the credit cards in full. If you use the credit card, make sure you use it in a way that you know you're going to pay it in full. So that way you can take advantage of points, other benefits, and to just only charge what you pay in full. And as simple as that. But I wanted to add that as a rule, which was initially 7 rules, but it ended up being 8. All right. So notice that about half of these or so had to do with mindset, and the other half approximately were directly tied to money. And I want to make sure that I point that out, because we tend to think when it comes to rules of money, it's just going to be directly related to money. But a lot of the times we need rules that tie into our mindset, because as I mentioned, our mindset really impacts how we feel, how we perceive the decisions that we make with money. So it's important to really be aware of that. So as a quick recap, the 8 rules, not the 7, the 8 rules of money is: number 1, spend less than you make. Number 2, track your money wins. Number 3, check in on your money confidence. Number 4, be flexible. Number 5, don't compare yourself. Rule number 6 is look for more ways to earn more, increase your income. Rule number 7 is invest what you can with what you have. And rule number 8 is pay your credit cards in full. So I hope that you found that helpful. I hope that at least 1 or 2 or 3 of those rules, you're just like, okay, I can use that in my life right now, and see which ones you're going to implement. Some of them are easy to implement right away, like tracking your money wins, checking your money confidence. Notice all the ones that are tied to your mindset are really the ones that you can implement right away. You can implement the other ones as well, but just make sure that you choose some and say, I'm going to do these. I'm going to take action on these right now. So let me know your thoughts on this episode. As for next week, usually I share with you what is up for next week. But honestly, I don't know what is up for next week. So I'm still working on that. I will be sure to have an episode next week. And just a heads up, in June, we're going to take a break. And what that means is that we'll be having replays of different episodes. So stay tuned for that. And that's going to be for June and July. I need a little bit of a break, y'all. It's as simple as that. Bueno, pues that is everything. Thank you so much for tuning into this podcast. I know you had a lot of podcasts to choose from, but you chose us. So I appreciate that. You can check out the show notes over at jenhemphill.com/401. That is jenhemphill.com/401. Remember that being the reina starts now simply by claiming it. I believe in you, and so should you. Nos hablaremos el próximo jueves. Ciao.